Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, or one earth, one family, one future. And this week on One Take, we are discussing whether the tag of Vishwamitra or the friend of the world is going to be earned by the Prime Minister once the G20 Summit ends over here in the first week of September. Hello and welcome, and the big question I'm asking this week, and I do want your reactions on that, is that will the G20 Summit place India on the world map strongly even further, or whether it's not really such a big deal as many of the opposition parties are saying. But it's not just about the presidency of G20, which many say would come naturally to India. There are lots of preparations which are being made for the two-day summit in the national capital. You can see all around me as posters are being put up, banners are being put up to make the point that India is world ready. But will only the G20 make us world ready? That's the question I'm asking. Now let's briefly talk about the attempt which has been made by the Prime Minister and this government in the past to try and show to the world that the underdeveloped, developing or the third world tag can no longer be attached to us. There was a time when India was called Sone ki Chidiya, but that was the golden years of history. And then came those bad years, as many critics point out, when there was an economic slump which took place, where there was joblessness, there were famines. Of course, I'm talking about many years back. And then India decided to get on its feet. Successive governments, whether it was a BJP earlier, whether it was a UPA government, the Congress government in between, the Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi era, tried to modernize our country, to try and reduce the dependence on just cheap, unskilled labor, computerization, liberalization, opening the doors of our country to FDI, of foreign investment into our country and us investing abroad, and also increasing our exports and trying to reduce our imports. That became the hallmark of India's foreign as well as economic policy. But with the Prime Minister Modi coming in, there's a twin push which has been given. On one hand, we certainly want increased FDI. We are opening our doors to FDI in many sectors, whether it's health, whether it's insurance, whether it's media, whether it's cinema. But at the same time, we are putting a lot of stress on AATMANIRBHAR. If you start looking at the statistics, then India's biggest imports has been on sectors like defense, the health sector, for example. And India wants to reduce that dependence. Now, which are the countries where our imports have been quite high from? China, for that matter, Middle East, Afghanistan. Now, every time a turmoil takes place in a neighborhood or close to us, the alarm bells start ringing and the alerts are sounded that we really need to get more and more self-reliant as well as Atmanirbhar. But at the same time, with the modernization coming into our country, our need for skilled technology has also increased. And that's where the world has begun to look at us. When the Prime Minister goes abroad and he inks many deals with, say, France, America, Spain, Greece, UK, and so on and so forth, the point that he's trying to make is that we are coming to you for investment. We are coming to give you business, which you thought at one point of time India could never give. But this is not going to be seen as our dependence or our kamzori or our weakness. And that is where the Atmanirbhar Bharat tag is also being strongly pushed. So that we come down or downsize on our imports for basic essential items on these countries. So that we can sell our products to the world. Where we can show the world that we have better products to offer to them, which are technologically superior, it's all indigenous, we are self-reliant. You know, the Chinese goods flooded the markets because they were believed to be factory-made, churned out, much cheaper. India wants to occupy that space and we've begun to do so. Figures are rattled off by the Commerce Ministry, the Industry Ministry, Finance Ministry to repeatedly make the point that yes, we can, that we can import at the same time become increasingly self-reliant, giving a lot of impetus to startups to ensure that they do well. That's now increasingly become the hallmark of this government. And therefore, it brings it back to the question which I began from, can India really be the Vishwamitra or the friends of the world? Well, yes. I think the COVID times, how horrific it was, also put India on a global map in a different extent. Our vaccine Maitri, the fact that there were large amount of vaccines which were exported from India, which were given up to our neighboring countries, countries like Maldives, and who were crying an urgent need for vaccines. And we had a surplus and we were able to churn out vials of them and so as to give to those people, earned a lot of accolades. Whenever the Prime Minister travelled to France or Germany or UK or America, he was praised for the fact that India came of its own during the COVID time. That is, we were able to give vaccine and other kind of medical help even to advanced countries. When the health infrastructure was crumbling in France, India was able to offer them help as usual and unexpectedly for many quarters. And therefore, the G20 Summit, which is critics like the Congress party are saying is no big deal because this was but naturally the presidency was coming to us, I think it's going to come together of many big heads. Of course, we are known for our hospitality. All those arrangements have been put in place. But at the same time, we're going to tell to all the constituents who are going to be present, don't take us for granted. And I think as we head into 2024 Lok Sabha elections, the Prime Minister is now going to be looking at a larger global platform. India becoming stronger as far as the diaspora is concerned, as far as the global platform is concerned. And mind you, as we talk about elections, as we always do on One Take, this is going to become a big talking point from the BJP as an electoral pitch for 2024. And the BJP's calculation is that yet the opposition doesn't have a counter to this. Because what the BJP is pointing out, that look at the figures during Dr. Manmohan Singh's time and look at our times. We are more self-reliant, more countries are investing in us, but we are also depending less and less on them. And we are now becoming the friend of the world. Do give in your reactions. Thank you so much for watching.